Intervention from good old Donald Trump.
He has, and he's made very clear that if he gains another term in office, Harry won't be getting any help from him. I'm not sure Harry would expect any help from him. I think him and Meghan particularly have nailed their colours fairly firmly to the mast on what they feel about Donald Trump.
I just don't really get why. How is that an obvious topic for Donald Trump to talk about?
No, but it was in light of this case, you see, because this is the US government that has gone to court against this think tank to explain, why they don't want to make this public. So what Trump was saying, he was asked about it, was saying, well, he wouldn't get any of those favours if I was president. So that is actually worrying. Trump could potentially make life difficult. I mean, the thing that worries me, frankly, is we don't want him booted out of America, do we? Or he'll have to come back here, or be Harry and Meghan.
He can't afford the security.
Back to Britain, yeah. So, no, just go easy on him, Donald Trump, please.
And this is actually, it's worth pointing out, there's been a lot of ridicule around Spare at the weekend because of this, the best-selling memoir of his, because the argument by the government is, although Harry has detailed a great deal amount of drug abuse over the years in the book, the authorities have said, well, actually, just because someone writes it doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
Oh, dear.
But, of course, this book has been painted out as the one true story about Harry's life. So, I mean, who knows?
It's an interesting defence. I lied.
Yeah. I mean, this hasn't come from Harry himself, and interestingly, we've not heard a peep from Harry or from Archwell on this case at all. They're obviously watching it play out very quietly.
Like
you say, it's an interesting defence.
And it is, and I do wonder whether others who feature in the book, such as his brother Prince William, might choose to intervene. Is it, he's said that he'd attacked him physically, and we all know about the dog bowl and the broken necklace, that sort of thing. Well, was that true? Or was that something that was exaggerated in the same way as the drug use?
With Catherine still recuperating from surgery, a scandal blew up over a seemingly innocuous Mother's Day portrait of the Princess of Wales and the children released by Kensington Palace, after it was revealed that the picture had been digitally manipulated. Here, Rebecca, Richard and Charlotte Griffiths explain the uproar, with many agreeing with Rebecca's comments to Catherine's chance to just back off and leave her alone.
I think probably it's best encapsulated by a piece I wrote for the Daily Mail on Wednesday, and I spoke to a lot of, I suppose I would describe them as allies of the princess, people in the household, outside the household, but with very close links, and all of them are of one opinion, as am I have to say, that what happened shouldn't have happened. It was a mistake, but she, within 24 hours, less than 24 hours, had come online and very openly said, look, this was my fault, I'm sorry. And the people I've spoken to think, look, that should be accepted. A line should be drawn underneath it and she should be allowed to move on. It doesn't negate the fact that there was a mistake in the first place. And I think it's worth mentioning, because it was in that piece of mine, that people I've spoken to have said that Catherine is not unaware, although she doesn't have her own social media presence, she's not unaware of a lot of the speculation that we've seen about her health and welfare over recent weeks. And there's been some really vicious, nasty and slanderous stuff out there on social media. She is aware of it and she has found it very, very upsetting. And I think, all of us, we all get a lot of trolling on social media because of the jobs that we do, and that's not an nth of what she gets. And I think that's a lot of weight on her shoulders, particularly at a time where she's recovering from what clearly is serious surgery. And I think people just need to back off and leave her alone.
Why do we think it just got so crazy?
I do think it wasn't this whole situation, I do think it hasn't been handled particularly well by Kensington Palace, in as much as there was a little bit of naivety that, one of the world's most famous women could suddenly go out of the public eye for 3 months and people not to speculate about it. And I think, as I said in my piece, often that speculation came from a good place, that people are very fond of her and we just want to know, is everything okay with her? So I think they should have come out and said something earlier rather than just wait to what they traditionally do on Mother's Day. I know that's their policy, but in this day and age, sometimes you've got to tap dance a little bit more cleverly around that. But I think what we've seen directed at her is just you know, unbearable for anybody, let alone someone who's just trying to recuperate from really serious surgery.
Obviously, lots of people are saying, come on, it's not a big deal, it's just a devoted mother making a few edits to a family photograph which they've shared with us, which is completely true. But what turned it into a big story was, it's the first time I've ever known that an official photograph from the royal family has been rejected by the world's biggest picture agencies. And, you know, also because it's the first official photograph we've seen of Catherine since Christmas Day.
Unexpected days in my career covering the royals. I had actually heard a week or so before that what she was experiencing was probably slightly more serious than people realised. Clearly we would never run a story like that because it's her information to impart if she wants to. But I got a message about 3:15 on Friday saying, could you be on a conference call at 4? And I knew it was in connection with the Princess of Wales, so I knew it was going to be pretty serious. And I have to say, you can see obviously people's faces on these group calls, and you know, I've never seen anything like it. You know, people were absolutely devastated for her family. I think there's a lot of people in shock. And what was really emphasised to me on that call, which I think was really interesting, is that you ask about the timing of it. And obviously we've seen all this debate about social media and trolls, which we've spoken about on the programme a lot. And it was absolutely nothing to do with that. You know, this was her decision to do this at a time that she felt was right for her husband, but most importantly, her 3 children. And that is what she has put above everything else throughout the last few months, is how this will affect her children. I think just as a parent of you know, young children, I remember sitting there thinking of little Louis's face, you know, that little 5-year-old
child. Your children
and
those
you know,
things?
when as a parent, all you want to do is scoop your children up and protect them, and you're having to impart to them something that could really rock their world. And as a parent, no one wants to do that. So you can understand why they have taken the time to do it in a way they want to, despite all the pressure on them. And it was very interesting. Several of us did ask at various points on that call, are you doing this because of, you know, this kind of the trolling? And they could have taken that opportunity to lambast the trolls, to lambast the social media commentators, and actually it was very classy. They didn't. It was like, forget all that, forget the noise, this is about us and our family.
Absolutely, don't you? I think that a lot of trolls would have enjoyed feeling like they'd made a manoeuvre there. Do you know what I mean?
They'd forced their hand into doing something.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, obviously, when we first heard about Kate's surgery, we were told that she would start making appearances after Easter, but presumably that might be extended now. She'll be lying low a few more months.
I think they're going to take it as it comes. It was made very clear to me that she might dip in and out even while undergoing this preventative chemotherapy. So she might, if there was an event she wanted to dip into on maybe a video call, or, you know, maybe even appearing in person, she might, but there was no pressure on her whatsoever, and that she would do it as and when she sees fit. But I think we've got to expect that it's very unlikely we will see much of her over what we call the busy summer season, which is the kind of period of time leading up to the end of July when the family go off to Balmoral.
Richard, a distance of a few days, nearly a week actually, since the news broke. What are your thoughts on it now?
I mean, it was very moving to watch. You know, it was very upsetting in many ways. But what came across was Catherine's desire to help others. You know, she made the point that this is not just me. I know what others are going through. People are suffering cancer at the same time. So she made sure that it wasn't just about her. I mean, I think they were very keen to broadcast this before Easter, because there's been so much talk about, we're looking forward to seeing Catherine on Easter Day, and it started to get whispers of people getting nervous, will she actually be in public or not? So this was her on her own saying, I won't be there, basically, and I need some privacy and I want to have time. And I think this will allow them that pressure has gone, and as a result there have been a lot of people who have apologised or who have felt sorry for things they've said and all the jokes about, you know, her disappearance. Well, you know, now we know why.
Well, we'll get into that in a minute, but first, Rebecca, I just want to turn to this message from the Sussexes.
Yeah, so the Duke and Duchess of Sussex put out a message through their spokespeople fairly soon after, actually, the announcement had been made.
Do you think they would have been given advance warning of this announcement?
100% not.
Wow.
No, 100% not. And I think people will read into that what they will, and probably rightly. It was a warm message of, thoughts and good wishes to her, but I'm not sure they could have said much more than that. But it's a suggestion that they would have been told in advance. I mean, we asked that question, obviously, and while the palace weren't commenting on who had been told when, it was pretty clear to us that they wouldn't have been in that inner circle.
Gosh, cold. Richard, you touched on it. You've commented on the reactions of various celebrities and public figures on social media in the run-up to Catherine's video. I think I've seen Kim Kardashian, Blake Lively, among others. One person stands out, a gentleman by the name of Christopher Boozy. Why is that?